Hey everybody. Sorry, I don't know if you could hear me the first time. Sorry, I decided to opt out of going on camera tonight because I've been sick all week and I look a hot mess. and I knew this and I still did it. I made like this special stuff. It's called rapashi for my lizards. It's like this food made from powder that you mix and you like make it into a gel. And I'm very allergic to it. It's made from like black soldier fly larvae. And hey Jeremiah, I made it and I was like, I'm just gonna rinse my hands afterwards. I'll be fine. And as soon as I touch my eyes when I make this stuff, they blow up like tangerines. Well, my one eye blew up. It doesn't look so bad now, but I was like, I'm not even bothering to go on camera. And besides that, I've been like sneezing all day because it does that to me too. And yeah, I've been sick all week, so I haven't been here for a little bit, but I'm back. I was gonna go live about Quentin Simon case because I'm really invested in that too. I just felt like there was a million people live about that tonight, and this case has really piqued my interest. So I figured maybe I'll wait till Quentin's mother gets arrested, and then I'll do. Hey Jameson, I'll do a whole show. Hey Sarah, I'll do a whole show on Quentin Simon then. But there were so many Quentin Simon lives tonight. It's like, let me switch it up a little bit because I've been following this case for like the past couple days, and it's pretty crazy. So there are these four guys. Let me get their names real quick. Mark Chastain and Billy Chastain. Mark was 32, Billy was 30. They were brothers. This guy, Mike Speaks, who's 32, and another guy, Alex Stevens, who's 29. Hey, Meg. And they all left their home on their bikes on October 9th. Hey, Denise. It was like 8 p.m. and they all left for a bike ride. They were on bikes that had like wagons attached to the back, and they were headed to a scrapyard, I believe. Now, before I like go into this case, I just want to say before I get into anything, hey Coda, that just my opinions on it. I hope nobody gets offended because I'm not trying to say anything bad. I'm just trying to say, hey Jen, what I think. And I just want to say nobody deserves to ever get killed no matter what they do. Unless you like hurt children or something, then something bad should happen to you. But I mean, nobody deserves to die. So I just want to say that. I just don't want my opinions of what I think might have happened to offend anyone. Because I'm not trying to say anything bad. I'm just going along with the victimology here. Hey, Princess Megan Elsa. So, okay, well, the news says it too. According to the AP, investigators believe that the men left a house in Okmulgee. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Okmulgee. On their bicycles on October 9th. They reported the men were leaving their house to allegedly commit a crime before they were killed. In my opinion, hey, Ryan the man. In my opinion, they were heading to the scrapyard at 8 o'clock at night, probably to like steal some catalytic converters or something like that. You know what I mean? Because who rides a bike to a scrapyard at 8 p.m.? I doubt it's even open. And probably to be quiet so nobody hears them. Hey, Beatlemaniac. Hey, Parker. Yes, I'm here. I'm live. I've been sick all week. I was throwing up. It was a nightmare. One morning, I was even in the line for my kid's school, like puking in a bag in the car. It was such a nightmare. It was horrible. I had the worst week ever. I feel better now. I had a bladder infection, and then they gave me this. I was taking these antibiotics, and they were fine. And then they switched my antibiotics, and whatever they switched me to made me sick, and it was just horrible, but I feel better today because I stopped taking the antibiotics. I took a lot, so I'm sure I'm fine. I'm just not taking them anymore because every time I take them, I get sick. And it sucked. I feel like I've lost like half my body weight. I was dehydrated. And then I had an allergic reaction today because I made this like food for my lizards. It was just a whole nightmare all week. But yeah, I'm feeling better now. I just didn't go on camera because I feel like trial March 24th, 2022. We got justice for everyone else. Oh, nice. Yeah, so yeah, it was a crappy week, but I feel better now. But yeah, I didn't go on camera because I made this stuff for my lizards and I'm very allergic to it. It's made from like black soldier fly larvae, and usually when I touch it, and then if I touch my face or anything without washing my hands, it makes my eyes blow up like tangerine. So my one eye blew up a little bit. It's not too bad now, but it still looks crappy. So I was like, nah, I'll stay off camera. All right, so anyway, these guys, they all had families. It's really sad. The two were brothers, and then the one guy had a whole family with kids that I know about. They know Beatlemaniac. I'm so close. We had no answer, but at least 35 years, this man can have no more victims. Yes, that probably makes you feel better that they can't hurt nobody else, you know? So, it just in my opinion, I think these guys were headed to a salvage yard, probably to steal some catalytic converters or something. And they tried to rob the wrong, the wrong business owner, and he came out and shot them, in my opinion. And this is why I think this. So he is the main suspect, the guy who owns the scrapyard. His name is Joe Kennedy. In 2012, he got in trouble for shooting at people who were trying to rob a scrapyard. I think there were 6 people who were on the scrapyard, and he shot at them and he hit one. So I think, maybe this had happened again, but he killed them all, and they were dismembered. I mean, allegedly. I don't know if this guy did, but he's a suspect named by police, and he's missing. They believe he may be suicidal, and his car was found abandoned at a gas station. So I think they're pretty sure it's this guy, and he has a history of it. So, it makes sense that was probably what happened. But basically, he dismembered all these guys, and I believe somebody was like passing by the river and seeing just body parts like sticking out of the river. Yeah, the bodies of the men were found on Friday by someone passing through. Police say, according to the AP, that the person saw something suspicious in the river and called them. Hey, Lynn. So the cause of death is pending, but Prentice said, according to the AP, that all 4 of them had gunshot wounds and their bodies were found dismembered. The 4 bicycles have not been found, and the investigation is ongoing still. So, all right, let me show you guys pictures and stuff. I'll show this article. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't share the audio, and I'm going to play the press conference. Yeah, they had a press conference today, so I'll play that too. But these are the 4 men. I believe this is Alex. This is the guy, Sparks, his last name. And I think these 2 are brothers, if I recall. So Joe Kennedy is a scrapyard owner who was named the person of interest in the deaths of the 4 men whose bodies were found in the Oklahoma River. Initially, the victims' close friends were reported missing. However, their dismembered bodies have now been found in the river. The men were shot, according to the Tulsa World. They believe the victims planned to commit a criminal act. Yeah, Tony Smith, exactly. That's what I was saying. And that's why I said, like, I believe they have identified them, Denise. I think they said, didn't they say today that they have identified them? Well, yeah, I thought the same thing. And like I said, nobody deserves to die, even if they were, doing something nefarious, like trying to steal from the scrapyard. I just think that, maybe, the idea of them leaving on a bike ride at 8 o'clock at night to go to the scrapyard just seems like, they were going there to commit a crime, like the police believe. And they got caught by this guy who is kind of crazy, Yeah, they identified him. I'll play it for us, Denise, so you can see it. I have the press conference in my tab, so we can play it. They learned from a witness. Okay, so they learned from a witness who did not go with the guys that they were going to, probably steal stuff or whatever. Yeah, it's sad. Maisie said it's sad, but everyone here knows you don't go messing around salvage yards outside their business hours. Yeah. I've heard nothing but bad things about people going to salvage yards past business hours. And from what I heard, this guy was people knew he was a little crazy and that he had shot at people before. I don't know if maybe they got away with it before or what, and they thought they can do it again. But, unfortunately, he probably caught them. So police said the victims indicated they were going to hit, or quote unquote, hit a lick big enough for all of them. That's terminology for criminal activity, police said, but they don't know what was planned or where. The victims were riding on bicycles, and those bicycles are still missing. From what I've seen, hey Lori, from what I've seen, the bicycles, they're like older bicycles with like wagons on the back. So let's see. Police found evidence of a violent event at a property near Kennedy's scrapyard. Is this the one from today?
Investigators worked all weekend recovering the bodies from the river and sifting through information obtained during the
Can you guys hear that okay?
portion of the investigation. Based on information obtained during the course of the investigation, we believe the men planned to commit some type of criminal act when they left the residence on West 6th Street. That belief is based on information supplied by a witness who reports they were invited to go with the men to quote unquote hit a lick big enough for all of them. We do not know what they planned or where they planned to do it. Task force officers continue to investigate and will do so until all leads are exhausted. A very methodical search was conducted Saturday at the salvage yard on 20th Street, as well as surrounding properties. Nothing remarkable was observed inside the salvage yard, but evidence of a violent event was discovered on an adjoining property. The owner of both salvage yards, Joe Kennedy, is considered a person of interest, but no charges have been filed. Investigators would like to speak with him again. Mr. Kennedy was reported missing Saturday night and may be suicidal. He is last believed to be driving a blue Chrysler PT Cruiser bearing Oklahoma license LSA 245. During the missing person portion of the investigation, we were very liberal with information releases in an attempt to find the man. Once the investigation changed to a murder investigation, we will be much more conservative with information to protect the integrity of the investigation. I want to recognize the agencies that have assisted so far with the body recovery and Saturday search: the District Attorney's Violent Crime Task Force, the OSBI, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol Boat Team, Light Horse Police, the FBI, the Okmulgee Fire Department, and Okmulgee County Emergency Management, as well as City of Okmulgee Emergency Management. That is the conclusion of my statement. I will respond to questions if you have any.
When you say they were going to get a lick, are we talking about drugs? Are we talking about copper? Or?
We have no idea. We have no idea. That is common terminology for engaging in some type of criminal behavior, but we do not know what they were planning or where they plan to do it.
Will we get a picture of Mr. Kennedy here pretty soon? Will you send that out?
Mr. Kennedy is a person of interest that we would like to talk to and currently not a suspect. I probably won't release his photo unless and until he is named a suspect.
When is the last time y'all spoke to Mr. Kennedy?
Friday afternoon.
What are you telling the families about just kind of working this case and how you're trying to get them answers?
All of the information that I just provided you, I provided the family earlier this morning. I have assured them that nothing changes except the focus of the investigation. We have worked around the clock all week. We were out all weekend, and we will continue to work at the same pace that we've been working to try to find out exactly what happened to their loved ones and who did it.
Have you found the bicycles yet?
We have not. We still are missing the bicycles, and unfortunately, I have no description of the bicycles. At least one, and we believe all of the boys had multiple bicycles, and there's no way to know which ones they were on.
Have you recovered the weapon, the gun used in the shooting?
We have not.
Do you know what type of weapon it was? Handgun, rifle?
I'm not releasing that information.
If I see Mr. Kennedy, am I in danger? Is the community in danger with him out there?
I don't have any evidence to indicate that Mr. Kennedy is a threat to anyone else. But I would use caution. If anyone sees Mr. Kennedy, please call the local authorities.
Can you tell us what evidence was recovered at the second salvage yard or property nearby?
We're not releasing that yet.
Have you ever in your tenure had something like this before?
I've worked over 80 murders in my career. I have worked murders involving multiple victims. I have worked dismemberments, but this case involves the highest number of victims, and it's a very violent event. So I can't say that I've never worked anything like it, but it's right up there at the top.
So reason to believe that the victims were placed in the river on Sunday evening?
I don't know that I can give you a firm answer. It would take a considerable amount of time to put the bodies in the condition that they were and then dump them in the river. So my best estimate would be late Sunday night, early Monday morning.
When you said on CNN over the weekend, the bodies have appeared to be in the water for a while. What did the water do anything to the condition of these bodies to make your investigation harder? Is that what you said?
Water always affects decomposition. And depending on temperature, depending on the current flow, there's a lot of different factors that do that. And I would defer to forensic pathologists to better explain that than I. Whenever water is involved, it makes it much more difficult to identify evidence. And we are methodical at every scene, but we have to be extra methodical when we're dealing with a body of water because it's so easy to miss evidence.
When you last spoke with Mr. Kennedy, was he cooperative? What was his state of mind like?
He appeared to be cooperative. He was not antagonistic.
Is that property where the event happened, is that his property as well, or just the salvage?
No, it is not his property. That property belongs to the property surrounding the salvage yard. And maybe for ease, I have since discovered that Mr. Kennedy referred to the South 75 location as the salvage yard and the 20th Street location as the scrap yard, which may make it easier to keep track of what we're talking about. So the scrap yard belonged to Mr. Kennedy. The property surrounding the scrap yard belongs to 3 different businesses.
And that property you're talking about is the one where the violent event.
That's correct. It was on one of the other pieces of property.
Did these men have a relationship with Mr. Kennedy before? Were they employees? Are they relatives of any kind?
Not that I'm aware of. Mr. Kennedy has denied knowing them. And obviously I can't ask the victims, but I don't have any reason to believe that there was any pre-existing relationship.
With them being cut up into pieces, is there a chance somebody's gonna find something down the creek or something like that, or do you believe you have recovered everything?
I believe this morning we recovered the last piece. We recovered the majority of the remains Friday night. We made an additional recovery yesterday, and we recovered what I believe is the last piece this morning.
Were the bodies tied down to weight them down in the river, or were they just kind of falling free?
I didn't see any evidence that there was an attempt to weight them down.
Now, with 4 men and 1 person of interest, do you think he may have, whoever did this, may have been alone or received help?
Whenever I conduct an investigation, I always develop theories, but I don't publicize those until I have evidence to support them. At this point, I don't have any evidence of anyone else being involved.
Have you spoken with the family members before you met with us, and how are they doing?
I did speak with the family members. They were upset. I think that they had already resolved themselves that this was their loved ones, but the additional information about dismemberment was obviously a shock, and they were very distraught.
What's next?
A lot of work. We were still waiting on cellular telephone records. We have requested additional video surveillance from businesses in the area. We'd like to talk to Mr. Kennedy again. We continue to get tips of sightings. But as information comes in of people that potentially know things, we're going out and talking to them. So we still have a lot of leads to follow, and we will continue to bring those in, prioritize them, and send those out to investigators to be accomplished and then report back. And at some point, we have to pause and prep reports. We have been working so fast, and this investigation has been rolling on so fast, we haven't had time to type any reports. We have a lot of typing to do.
So let me ask you, with all the media in the room, how do you want us to proceed?
Anyone that has any information about the murder or the disposal of the bodies after the murder or Mr. Kennedy's location is asked to contact Okmulgee Police or their local authorities. We can be contacted at 918-756-3511, or we have set up a tips email at tips@okmcity.net. All right, thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I am kind of shocked to hear that they already talked to Joe Kennedy. I didn't know that. All right, so Lori, there's these 4 guys right here. These 2 are brothers, Mark and Billy Chastain, I believe. And then this guy was named Alex. What's his last name? I forget his last name. Alex. And then I think Michael Sparks, maybe? His last name is Sparks. Hold on. I'll get you their names. Where did I have that? Here we go. Billy Chastain, Mark Chastain, Mike Speaks. Sorry. I thought it was Sparks. Sarah, is it Sparks or Speaks? And then Alex Stevens. They all got together on October 9th, and they had these bikes with wagons attached to the back, and they rode to this scrapyard. Police were told they were heading there to commit a crime. I'm going to say probably, steal some catalytic converters or something, because who goes to a scrapyard after 8 p.m.? On bikes with wagons. They told someone they're going to go there to, what was it, like get a lick enough for all of them or something like that. I've never heard that term, but so they went to this scrapyard that this guy Joe Kennedy owns, and Joe Kennedy has a history of shooting people who come on to his property and steal from him. He was charged in 2012 with shooting a guy. So I'm going to believe that, possibly he's the main suspect as well. these guys showed up to rob him. He was there, or maybe he got tipped off and he was waiting on them and he killed them and dismembered their bodies and threw them in the river. And somebody passing by the river had seen their body parts protruding from the water and called the police. So one of their wives had the Life 360 app, and basically, hold on, I have a map somewhere. I think it's on here. All right, so this is the salvage yard that they rode their bikes to. Then on Life 360, his phone said they were in a car that traveled to the second salvage yard, and it was the last time the phone pinged before it went off. And then this is where the bodies were found. I'm going to guess that probably something happened at this salvage yard, and he had the victims maybe in his car and brought them to this salvage yard. Or maybe just brought their belongings. I don't know. And then he dismembered them and dumped them here. But the thing I do find strange is I believe the cops. All right, so this was like a gas station. They stopped at the car stopped at a gas station before it went to the second salvage yard. And it said it in the Life 360 app on the guy's phone, but when they looked at the cameras of the gas station, they weren't there. So it had to just be, his phone. Oh yeah, I track Dave too. I track him, just in case, and he tracks my phone. And we don't go looking at it, but in case I can't get a hold of him and I'm worried or something. And when my kid gets old enough, I will be tracking him for sure. You can never be too careful now. Yeah, I think maybe, I don't know why this guy just didn't call the police after shooting them because they were on his property or whatever. But I guess because he was convicted before of this, maybe he freaked out and decided to, dismember them and throw their bodies away. I think it's sad. It's really sad, and their poor families, they have kids and everything. Yeah, I don't know, Judy Davis. I think he just did it maybe to try and hide the bodies better and make them unrecognizable. I'm not really sure why he did that, but hey, that girl. But yeah, so then supposedly they did find evidence that a violent act was committed at one of the scrapyards. I'm not sure if it was at scrapyard 1 or 2, but they were there. I think there is another video where they were. All right, so Joe Kennedy is a scrapyard owner who was named as the person of interest in the deaths of the 4 men whose bodies were found in the Oklahoma River. Initially, the victims' close friends were reported missing. However, their dismembered bodies have now been found in the river. The men were shot. I said that. I think I read this already. Oh, yeah, the lick thing. Played that. Police said they found evidence of a violent event on an adjoining property to the Kennedy scrapyard. So I suppose it's the other business property they found it on. Property in the area contained a scrapyard and was a salvage yard. The property around the scrapyard belonged to 3 different businesses, the police said. Kennedy is a person of interest but has not been charged, authorities say. Kennedy was reported missing on Saturday night, October 15th, 2022. Police said it may be suicidal. I believe he abandoned his car behind a gas station or something like that now. So they don't know where he is at this point, but they're searching for him. Hey, Rena. The chief said it would have taken time to put the bodies in the condition they were in and dump them in the river. Police said they spoke to Kennedy before he disappeared, and he was not antagonistic. So they did speak to him, like he said. I wonder if he had help, though, is the other thing I'm thinking. Because maybe he did do it alone, and that's why he dismembered them. Because I would imagine moving 4 bodies on your own is probably pretty hard to do. But if he works at a salvage yard, I'm sure he has a bunch of like heavy equipment that he could have used, to be honest. But Kennedy was convicted for shooting at 6 men who broke into a salvage yard in 2012. Yeah, 4 people would definitely be difficult. And he looks kind of old. Like, he looks a little older. Let me see if they have the article for that. I had the article earlier, and I don't. All right, so records show Joe Kennedy is currently on a 10-year deferred sentence in Okmulgee County. Records show he was convicted in 2013 of assault. I want to say Okmulgee. Okmulgee. In 2013 of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon for shooting at 6 men who broke into a salvage yard. Happened in 2012. He hit one of them who survived. He was also charged in 1998 with attempting to receive stolen property. If you know where he is, you're asked to call Okmulgee Police. Do you need to prove intruder wanted to do violence? No. Oklahoma law clarifies that person who unlawfully enters home or place of business is presumed to be doing so with intent to commit unlawful act. So do they have like a clause where you can Okmulgee? Okay. Gotcha. I know that's exactly how it sounds, but I want to say Okmulgee. I don't know why, but it just like wants to come out that way. Yeah, that's what I was asking. That's what I meant. Do they have like a stand your ground law? Because he was convicted before, so maybe they don't. Maybe there's. I mean, I can't imagine them letting. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine them letting him off after killing 4 whole people. But he probably would have done a lot better if he would have just called the police and said, these 4 men came on my property and I started shooting and I hit them. But maybe because he already had a record, he, got a little scared or whatever. Lori Fulbright, a journalist with News on 6, wrote on Facebook that Kennedy has a serious criminal history. According to Fulbright, records show Kennedy is currently on a 10-year deferred sentence in Okmulgee County. She reported that he was convicted in 2013 of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Hold on. I have his picture. This is Joe Kennedy. Oh, he's not as old as I thought he looked. 1955. So what, he's in his like 60s? If you break into someone's house, the occupant can shoot. So does a place of business count if it's a scrapyard, like outside? Lori, I think it was just somebody that was just nearby and just walking and seeing body parts protruding from the water. So they initially reported that body parts were seen in the water and they have not recovered them yet, and they didn't like verify who they were yet. And I was kind of confused by how they worded it, because instead of just saying they found bodies in the water, they were saying body parts. So I kind of had a feeling that they were going to be dismembered, but I wasn't sure by the wording. So yeah, he does look like a normal, rational person in that picture. Check Messenger. Hold on. Okay. Stand your ground by statute, stand your ground by judicial decision or jury instructions. Duty to retreat except in one's home. Duty to retreat except in one's home or workplace. Let me see. So, stand your ground by statute. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I'm going to look at Stand your ground by statute allows the use of deadly force where there is a threat of death or great bodily harm. Deadly force is force that is capable of taking someone's life. As the statute allows the use of deadly force in self-defense, stand your ground is often used as a defense in homicide cases. So, I mean, that might be hard for them to prove if they were just there stealing stuff, unless, well, he's screwed now that he dismembered the bodies, to be honest, because had he not done that, he could have probably tried to pull this, but maybe because he's been around the block before by doing this before, he knew that it really wasn't going to go the way he wanted it to. But no, they weren't going to murder the guy. They were just going to go rob him, I'm pretty sure. So they were basically going to break in his scrapyard at night and probably steal catalytic converters or something of that nature. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was getting out of it. What's the isn't the castle doctrine the house one? All right, let me see. Are they the same thing? So castle doctrine's your house. So I don't know how that would work with a scrapyard. I mean, he would have had to prove that they were trying to like kill him, you know, not rob him. So yeah. If he was a felon, he wasn't allowed to have a firearm. True, yeah. I believe he's a felon, yeah. I mean, he shot at someone and hit them, so probably a felon. Yeah, his last name was Sparks, right? This guy, I don't know why it said Speaks on the thing. A fiance and his 2 friends are missing. If you see these men anywhere in Okmulgee, please let us know their names. Their names are Mike Sparks, Billy Chastain, and Mark Chastain, and Alex Stevens. Please, if you know anything. So this was his fiance posting on her Facebook. So sad. The recovery process has been completed from the river on Sharp Road. Oh, we can look that up real quick. It was at a bridge. It was like right at a bridge, I think. Let's take a look and see. Oh my gosh. Lori, you had someone try and break in. You were home alone. He tried to kick in my back door, showed him my gun, and police caught him in my backyard. Wow. Good thing you showed him your gun. My goodness. Yeah, the scrapyard nowadays probably has all kinds of motion sensors and stuff. Don't a lot of people just leave dogs there to like defend the property? So people come in like some big ass pit bulls come and attack you or something, you know? Or is that just things you see in movies and I just like making this up? But I mean, you know, they probably get done at like 6, and he's probably like stayed after work to do things, or maybe he was tipped off that they were coming. I mean, it's probably a small town where everybody knows everybody, you know what I mean? All right, so I know it's by Deep Fork because I think it was right here. All right, here's Deep Fork. I have to find the salvage yard around here because this is... All right, so they said there was like a salvage yard across from the Deep Fork National Wildlife Refuge somewhere. Trying to see if I can find it. or maybe the business across from there. And I'm also wondering if they recovered, maybe not, if they recovered remains in different places or if they were all in the river. How big is this Deep Fork National Forest is what I want to know. All right, whatever. We're going to go to where it was. I'm pretty sure it's at this bridge right here. Around here where the bodies were dumped. Probably because it seems like a fairly easy spot to just like throw them over, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, look how low this little like side rail is. If he had like a truck or something, he could have just tossed them in the water off the bridge. The water looks just like so low. I mean, this is probably taken a long time ago, but let's just say could have been low. Probably didn't go in too far. I wish I knew all the places. Let me see. Oh my gosh, Jameson, I think you might, did you send it to me, that TikTok where it was like, if you find the, like, you get the wrong house and it's like, Alexa, intruder alert, and like all the lights go off and this like red light comes on and it starts playing that song, like that song they always played for like Vietnam. I can't think of the name. And like all the lights turn red and dark. Seen him on my camera in the front yard and called the police. They were there within 7 minutes. He was trying to get in the window. Oh my goodness. I would have been down there with like a whole baseball bat or something. I have a katana. Why I have one, don't ask, but I do. Usually the owner or their kids or something lives on the premises of the scrapyard. I didn't even think of that on like a trailer, in like a trailer. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that'd be really stupid then to just... Okay, Nina. Yeah, that TikTok was hilarious. Why can't I think of that song? You know what I'm talking about? The one they always play in the Vietnam War movies. I forget what it's called. I'm like totally having a brain fart. One of the salvage yards around here has huge Dobermans. We have open carry, and the owner and woman at front were both carrying. I had to go once when someone stole my dad's car and wrecked it. Dogs inside too. I mean, I would imagine, you know, salvage yards are one of those things that probably get robbed all the time because there's a bunch of Katana wins flawless victory. I don't know how sharp it is, but I have one. But yeah, like a scrapyard is so easy probably to break in, you know, and there's a bunch of cars there where you can steal parts off of and get in there at night without people knowing. So I'm sure people do it all the time, but you got to have, you know, some kind of nighttime surveillance, like live on there, have some dogs there, or, you know, a big fence around it. I don't know, but I'm sure they're used to getting robbed pretty often. If only these guys knew that this guy didn't, you know, didn't play around. The recovery process has been completed from the river on Sharp Road. The process went much faster than I anticipated. 4 male bodies were recovered from the river. No identifications have been made at the scene, which I believe they did identify them now. You'll have to make official identifications. These bodies being taken to the medical examiner's office in Tulsa for autopsy. No additional information is being released. All right, so Joe Kennedy's blue PT Cruiser has been located and is in police custody. It was abandoned behind a business in Morris, Oklahoma. Investigators are looking into how it came to be there. Currently, we have no vehicle information for Kennedy. So, hold on. I wonder how far... All right, let's mark this off. I just want to see how far Mars, Oklahoma is. Project. Wait, does it say the road that is on? No, just says a business. I mean, it doesn't seem too far. It's like the next town over from Okmulgee. Why do I keep like when I hear Okmulgee, is there like another big case that happened there, or like a bunch of missing women or something? For some reason, the name just keeps like popping in my head from like another case, and I can't like I don't know where I've heard the name before, but I feel like there was like a big case there, or like a documentary done about cases there that I just keep going back to, and I don't know where it's coming from. But one of the men left one of the victims' homes on Sunday night riding bicycles. I think this is one of their wives. Can I play this? It's just a picture. Yeah, that's one of their wives. Does it say? No. Here we go. Okay, Mark Chastain's wife, Jessica. Someone out there knows something. I don't care if it's good or bad. Please just come forward, she said. Four Okmulgee men, Mark Chastain, Billy Chastain, and Mike Sparks, and Alex Stevens, who are all friends, have now been missing for 48 hours. This is before they found them. She says the men were last seen leaving Billy's house on bicycles Sunday night around 8. She tracked Mark's phone to a salvage yard south of Okmulgee, and it shut off even though his phone still had 28% battery. She says the family searched part of the salvage yard last night with no luck. Police said they will be doing a grid search of the salvage yard this morning. Jessica says it breaks her heart because her two kids keep asking about their dad and they saw his picture on the news. She said this isn't like Mark or any of them to just leave. She's worried about what happened to them. I believe she said also in an interview that she knew it was that, like she had already accepted that it was him. That's where that missing children are from, like 10 or so. Was there a bunch of missing children? Aw. Poor babies. How cute are they? It's sad. Bodies in river identified. Owner of the salvage yard, Joe Kennedy, is a person of interest. Yeah, we knew that. While they searched the salvage yard last week, they didn't find any evidence. They say they found evidence a violent crime had occurred on a neighboring property. Kennedy was reported missing on Saturday, and they believe he was suicidal. So he's out. They found his car. All right, let's see what else they said. Infamous Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. Maybe that's it. Hey, B. Tim. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. The Girl Scout murders. Is that the one they just did a Netflix documentary about? The one with what's her name? The lady, she's like a celebrity and she was supposed to like be there or something. Or maybe I'm thinking of there's like another town, I think it's in Ohio, that has like a weird name, and maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. There was like a lot of girls that went missing in Ohio. Maybe it just reminds me of the name. I don't know. What one was that? That was an interesting case. They did like a whole Chillicothe. Did you guys ever follow that the Chillicothe, I don't know if I'm saying that right, or Ohio murders. There's a bunch of chicks who like went missing there, and they had like a whole documentary on it. Oh wow, you were supposed to be there too, Broken Justice? I hated Girl Scouts and finally caught my mom into letting me drop it, but I was supposed to be at that Girl Scout camp. Oh my gosh, no way. That is scary. Hey, Pecan Pie. There's a child that someone just wanted to cover and can't because she's an outsider. Yeah, so anyone who just came in, I'm going over the Okmulgee 4. It was these 4 men who went missing on October 9th. Basically at like 9 p.m. They all got on their bikes, and their bikes had like wagons attached to the back. You know, it was late, and they headed to a scrapyard. This guy's wife was tracking her husband on Life 360. She tracked his phone to thanks Pecan. She tracked his phone to a salvage yard, and then it said after that he had gotten in a car, and the car had driven to like this gas station and then to a second salvage yard, and then his phone turned off when he still had 28% battery left. So what I think that happened, and it seems like the cops are thinking pretty much the same thing, that these guys, they had a witness tell them that these guys were headed to commit a crime, probably to go like steal catalytic converters or something on the scrapyard late at night, and they got caught by the owner, Joe Kennedy, who has a history of shooting people who try and rob him, and he hit someone who survived before and he got in trouble for it. So basically it sounds like that, you know, he did something and then he dismembered them and dumped them into a river in Okmulgee. And they found somebody walking by had seen body parts protruding from the river and called 911. And now the guy, Joe Kennedy, who owns the scrapyard, is missing. They don't know where it is. They found his car abandoned behind a business in the next town over, and they believe he may be suicidal. Broken. With I-35 and I-40 here, being smack dab in the middle of the country, lots of trafficking of children, women, and drugs come through here. Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, see, Denise, yeah, it's hard. Like I filed a case about this Native American girl. I can't think of her name right now, but I got like really into it. She's from like she's a little girl who, hey, criminality, I'm feeling better tonight actually. Well, I was throwing up all week. And so I had like a bladder infection. Then I started taking these antibiotics that I think were working for me fine. But the doctor made me switch, I guess, because I had some like weird resistance to them. And the next kind, I just got so sick from taking them. And then I was throwing up like all week. Like it was really bad. And then I stopped taking the antibiotics. I didn't finish them, but I just can't take them anymore because it's driving me crazy. And I stopped. But then today I made some rapashi. It's like a powdered food that you make into a gel made from like bugs for my lizards. And I know I was allergic to it, but I still touch my face anyway. And I literally, my eyes blow up every time I do it. So my eye got all swollen. So I was like, I'll still get live, but I'm not going on camera. But yeah, I feel better now, thankfully. And yeah, so I forget what I was saying, but oh yeah, so these guys, they were dismembered and they were found in the river. Someone called 911. And you know, they all have like kids and families. 2 of them are brothers, so it's really sad. I don't think I've finished a round of antibiotics ever. Yeah, I tried. I tried. I made it pretty far. But it seemed like every time so I'd have to take one in the morning and one at night, right? And I take the one at night, and then as soon as I laid down, I could feel like, the shit brewing in my stomach and traveling up my throat. And then I would have to like go on the couch and just fall asleep, like sitting straight up. But then, of course, by the morning, I couldn't keep it down. And I drank like 2 whole bottles of Pepto this weekend to get through work. And that worked too, so I did okay. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying about the girl. Why can't I think of her name? Hold on. I'll find out right now. It was a little girl. All right. Please tell me somebody remembers this. It was a little girl who she was being babysat by her uncle. And her uncle took her out with him at night to go do something. And she just disappeared on the property. Sarah, no. No. Davis snipped, said no. But yeah, the girl was with her uncle and she disappeared, and her family there was like a big fight between the families because her parents were trying to search the property and they wouldn't let them. And it was really strange because they were all family, you know what I mean? Like their grandpa and everything, and they were threatening each other with guns and stuff. And the difficult part about it is that they don't have like a police force. Like, no, it was a little girl missing from indigenous tribe. Hold on. See if I can find it. Little girl missing uncle. Arden Peppion. That was her name. Arden Peppion. Well, anyway, yeah, she's been teasing me all week saying I'm having twins and all kinds of stuff. So Arden, she was really young. And the problem is that on these like reserves, they have their own police force, and like outside police can't really intervene. They have their own like government and stuff set up, so you can't, like FBI and stuff. I'm pretty sure like FBI and all that can't come in and help. So it's a terrible, it sucks because, like you want to get, like the best you can do is just get the information out there and let people know in case they know something. But, it's hard when they have their own police force and their own laws and stuff like that. But yeah, I could show you guys real quick. Let me see. I'll look her up real quick. I don't know if any of you guys followed CK. She covered this, and I think this is the one she was saying that a bird might have just came in, like a big bird might have came and took her. I don't know, but I just thought it was really strange. It's like, yeah, no. So she was 3 years old. She went missing from a remote area on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation in Montana in late April and still hasn't been found. The man babysitting Arden at the time claimed she disappeared while he was practicing shooting his gun near a river. He has been charged with negligent endangerment and child neglect. He has pleaded not guilty and is out on bond. So he says, yeah, the giant bird theory. I think this is the one where she said the giant bird theory. But the guy claims he was shooting his gun and she was with him and she just like walked off. I think that her shoes were found, like just her boots were found, and I think that's why she was going with the bird theory, that she got lifted up out of her boots. I don't know. Hey, Amber Lou. But he was basically shooting his gun and he claims that she walked off. But here's the weird thing. when her mom and her dad went to the property to try and go look for her, they like wouldn't let them on the property. And it turned into this like huge family fight with like they were threatening each other with guns, and like if they came on the property to search, they would come out with a gun and try and scare them off. It was really crazy, and they were family, you know. I don't know. I don't remember if the grandma had custody or if the mom had dropped her to watch, like get watched by the grandma or something like that. Police believe the little girl went into the water. Arden's father, Aaron Pepion, told NBC News' Morgan Radford, since the disappearance, only her coat and boots have surfaced. He said, after a formal search lasting 10 days finished without finding Arden, the community took matters into its own hands, informed its search party still ongoing. Oh yeah, she thought it was a bird because her coat was found, so she thought maybe the bird had like picked the girl up by her coat and her arms slipped out and she fell or something like that. That song is Fortunate Son Song by Creedence Clear. Oh, I love CCR actually. Yeah, it's the one that was always played in Vietnam, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's definitely. I had no idea CCR sang it though. Like it was a popular song. I had no idea. Yeah, so the community took matters into its own hands and they basically just like went on the property and started searching. That was a little girl. But it turned into a whole mess. They had like on their Facebook page, they were showing like the fights between the families. It makes me think something more nefarious happened just because they wouldn't like let them on the property and they were fighting so much. But you had to find the TikTok. The TikTok's really funny. I mean, I could probably play it, but I don't know if I'll get struck because of the music. But Oklahoma, which was decided by a 5-4 vote, said that Native Americans who commit crimes on the reservation can't be prosecuted by state, local law enforcement and must instead face justice. Yeah. So, like, it's, you know, the only thing you can really do is like get the word out there in these cases, but a lot of the time it's just the way that their police, like law enforcement things go. Like I mean, just from what I've heard, I don't know. I've never lived on a reservation. Like, I don't know how it works, but I've heard that it's very like male oriented, and they, you know, like, oh, that's why there's a lot of missing women and children that, you know, don't get found. All right, Lori, good night. Thanks for coming. Have a good day at work tomorrow. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever like lived close to one or knows how they work, but like I've just heard that they're really like male oriented, and males kind of like dominate everything, and you know, a lot of these cases don't get solved because of the way their justice system is set up, which is sad. But I mean, I don't know for sure because I don't know. It's just what I've heard. Let me go to the Facebook page actually. See if there's anything else that we can. Oh, here we go. This was one of their bikes. So they had like these. That's pretty cool though. Look at that bike. How they have like a little makeshift wagon on the back. So that's what their bikes look like. Yeah, the reservation is a whole different world. I was born approximately 5:35 a.m. and landing in Houston and rushed to the hospital at 9:15. Oh, wow. Tribal government is unfortunately not exempt from the same corruption and nepotism that plagues regular government. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think anywhere you go, you know, there's going to be some bad, like good people who care and people who don't, you know, and you're going to have the same situations. I mean, I've run into so many cases where I mean, I'm really a sucker for like those cases where cops really screw stuff up, or like I really, really get into the Morphew case because of that, because I just felt like, you know, the evidence that they got, they exaggerated it to be a lot more than it was. And it, you know, they really expose the police force, like, and the investigators and the CBI and all that, like all the faulty crap they did. And there was another case that I found really crazy too, and you would be shocked how many towns have people who get like tunnel vision, and it's like a real thing, and it's terrifying. And this is why I always say, no matter what situation you're in, even if you haven't committed a crime, but you're involved in something that has to do with a crime, get a lawyer. And I'll tell you why. Now, the bikes have not been found, Texas. They have not been found. So, listen to this story. It's actually like a friend of mine. She told me it had to do with her dad. And then I watched this ID channel special on it, and it was so crazy to me because, you know, I really get into like the cases where there's a lot of corruption in the police force, and, you know, people like overlooking evidence, or just you know, fronting with evidence, like saying that evidence is more reliable than it is, or getting tunnel vision. Like, those cases just really interest me. So there was this girl, her name was, I think her name was Sophia. Yeah, her name was Sophia, the girl. And then I think the guy who got in trouble was Carl Roosh, maybe. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll find it. All right. So anyway, Sophia. Wait till you hear this story. All right. So this girl, right? All right. Yeah. Here we go. So this girl, her name was Sophia Silva. She was outside her home doing homework on the steps of her family home in Virginia, and then suddenly she was gone. Oh, Broken Justice. Well, I'll have to check that out. All right. So her sister Pam, 21, had been inside the house at the time and heard nothing. No struggles, no screams. When Pam went outside to look for Sophia, all she found was an open can of grape soda in the teenager's class notes. Despite her family's insistence that this child was happy, well-adjusted, and would never run away, the local sheriff approached her disappearance as a missing persons case with no worry of foul play. They set out looking for girls who matched Sophia's description, 5'5", slender, with purple nail polish on fingers and toes. Sophia's sightings came in during the following weeks. Oh, come on. All right. All over the country, from local malls to Las Vegas casinos, psychics reported visions of farmhouses, cornfields, and cars, wrote Diane Fanning in Into the Water, a 2002 book on the case. And by the way, this is on the ID channel. They have a special on one of those shows where they talk about cases, and it's really good. I forget what the episode is, but I can find out. Or I'm sure you can search Sophia Silva and find it, but it's super, super interesting. So anyway, one reported seeing Sophia in a body of water surrounded by vegetation. A little more than a month after the disappearance, farm workers found a decomposed female in a swamp. The corpse had purple nail polish on her fingers and toes and was wrapped in a blue blanket. Hold on 1 second. I'm pretty sure it was like a tarp, but blue blanket, we could just say. Police quickly focus on Carl Roosh, 44, whose string of petty crimes involved traffic violations, trespassing, indecent exposure, and visiting a bawdy place. I have no idea what visiting a bawdy place means, but whatever. Roosh lived 4 houses away from the Silvas and had been seen talking to Sophia in the past. The state forensic lab found hairs, blue fibers, and purple flakes in Roosh's van that appeared to be a match to similar fibers taken from the corpse. So basically, listen to this. The cops found these purple flakes in the van, and they send it to this DNA expert who's supposed to check the nail polish and match it for DNA to Carl Rouge. Well, the DNA expert says it's a match. That's him. He did it, right? So he was charged with Sophia's murder, and prosecutors went about preparing a case against him. The circumstantial evidence appeared strong. Okay, so here was the evidence. He had a similar blue tarp in his garage, and he had a rope that was similar in his garage, and there was purple nail polish flakes in his van. So because there was circumstantial evidence, which I hate circumstantial evidence. I hate cases with circumstantial evidence, unless it's really, really good circumstantial evidence. And like, unless it's so good that it's like, oh yeah. But a lot of like, I always try and find ways that the circumstantial evidence could just be a huge coincidence because it happens. So anyway, it appeared strong and seemed as if it would be easy to prove that he was the killer. Then on May 1st, 1997, while Rouge was behind bars, two more teenage girls, sisters, Kristen and Katie Lisk, 15 and 12, vanish. So they think they got the guy, and then two more girls go vanish. The bodies were found in a river 5 days later. Several details suggested that this was the work of the same person who had murdered Silva. They were all young girls who had been snatched from their homes, killed, and then dumped in the water. They had been RAPED, and their PUBIC areas have been shaved, which is, very MO type thing. That's not something normal people just do, shave their victims. Criminal profiles were certain the three cases were linked. A second look at the findings connecting fibers from Rouge's van to those from Silva's body showed there had been several mistakes in the lab work. Now, let me tell you, there wasn't several mistakes in the lab work. That's a lie. I don't know why they worded it this way. Basically, what happened is that this DNA expert was so hell-bent and had tunnel vision on finding this killer. She was so invested in this case that she lied. She didn't even, look into it. She just said, oh, yeah, it's a match, because she was sure that this is the guy. If you watch, the special, they talk about that. And investigators dropped murder charge against Rouge and started a hunt for the serial killer. But which makes me so mad. Look, they followed more than 11,000 leads and tested the DNA of more than 400,000 convicted felons. Years passed with no useful clues, despite America's Most Wanted broadcast on the case with a $150,000 reward. Then in the early morning of June 23, 2002, a panicked 15-year-old girl with a pair of handcuffs dangling from her wrists dashed out of an apartment complex in Columbia, South Carolina. She ran to a car and pleaded with the driver to take her to the nearest police station. A day earlier, the girl, Kara Robinson, had been watering flowers in front of a friend's house when a strange man drove up and started chatting with her. He took out a gun and forced her into the giant Rubbermaid container in the back seat of his car. He took her to his apartment, handcuffed her, bound her legs, and RAPED her repeatedly. Miraculously, after 18 hours, her captor fell asleep and she slipped one hand out of the cuff and escaped. Though the ordeal, Robinson made detailed mental notes of the man and his surroundings. She told police every single thing she could remember. It was like a memory dump, she later recalled. Her notes led them straight to the salon store. He was Richard Mark Evanitz, 38, who seemed to be an ordinary guy, a decorated Navy veteran and a married man with a job, friends, and a place in the community. On the surface, Evanitz didn't seem like a sexually sadistic psychopath, as an FBI criminal profile would later describe him. Other facets of his character fit the image perfectly. The son of an alcoholic, he had a bad temper and a long history of legal troubles. In 1987, he had been arrested for exposing himself to a young girl. By the time they got to his apartment, he was gone. While fleeing, he called his sister and confessed to his crimes. Police finally caught up with him in Florida, which led them on a high-speed chase and finally cornered him. He pulled a gun. As they released the police dog, he put the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. Examinations of his belongings connected evidence to the deaths of the three girls, and there is reason to believe that he is behind other unsolved cases. His suicide was surprisingly a disappointment to Robinson. That's him. He looks like a pretty ordinary guy. But how crazy is that this DNA expert just was so hell-bent on solving this case that she was like, hey, Melissa, that she just lied and said, like, yeah, there's a match. And there wasn't a match. It just shows that, like, there can be people with tunnel vision in any area, or, you get hell-bent on just it being one person, and, you really think it's them, and you don't even like, I feel like she should have went to jail for that. Because here, she tells them there's a match to the DNA, and she didn't even test the DNA, right? And then these two other kids get killed because they had the wrong guy. 8 years later, this tough as nails girl, which graduated from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy, the sole woman in her class, and began a career as a crime fighter. It's a crazy story. But yeah, I'm just like a sucker for these cases because I think, people often have this like view, like you want to have this view that these people are professional and that they critical think and that they, don't just get tunnel vision, but people do. And it's like really scary that a DNA expert, someone's fate is in this hand of a DNA expert, and she was so fixated on this case and really believed that guy was the killer from circumstantial evidence, which in my opinion wasn't a lie. I mean, he had purple flakes in his car, which could be from anything, and a similar tarp and similar rope. And she lied and said there was a match. It's just so crazy to me. Yeah, it's a pretty infamous state lab condition to be disingenuous. Happened up in Massachusetts a few years back. Annie Ducan. The state had to dismiss tens of thousands drug convictions. Holy crap, really? That's insane. I'll have to look that up. Hey, Thumbtha. It's crazy, though, that, like, one person can mess up. I think I heard about that lady. Wait, Tony, is that the lady who just, like... I've read about her. Hold on. I know I read about that lady before. It was recent, right? Like, it wasn't that long ago where all this came out. Yeah, wow. Falsifying evidence up to 34,000 cases. Why? In June 2011, evidence officer at the lab discovered that Ducan had tested 95 samples without properly signing them out. Further investigation revealed that she had forged the initials of an evidence officer in her logbook. She was suspended from lab duties. However, she was still allowed to continue testifying in court until February 2012, when district attorneys throughout the Boston area were notified of the breach of protocol, and Ducan was placed on administrative leave. Oh, maybe it was a while ago. Wasn't there another lady who got in trouble recently for this stuff? Oh, maybe there wasn't. Maybe that's it. Was there a Netflix doc done recently? Because I've heard of this recently, I feel like. Let me see if I can find when that... Sophia Silva... It's a good episode. I just don't know what. No, never mind. There's like one of those shows, shows on the ID channel that just cover all different cases and talk about them. They cover hers. There's so many of them, though, I don't even know the names of them anymore. Where they feature like detectives on who talk about their craziest cases and things like that. There had to be like a recent... The other lady may have worked with a military vendor, a metallurgist who faked studies about thickness of metals used to build submarines. She faked it for decades. Like, why though? Like, I could see why, like, that one lady did it, because she had tunnel vision, which is super scary. That, like, you could be accused of doing something in a case, and there'd be like a hell of a lot of circumstantial evidence, but nothing that really ties you to it, and that some person can think you're guilty and just like, be like, oh, they did it. They have the power to say you did it without even testing the shit. Like, that scares the shit out of me. If I'm even anywhere remotely close to some case that I have nothing to do with, I'm still getting a damn lawyer, because this shit scares the crap out of me. Like, I feel like the Barrymore feud case sent me on a mission to find these cases, because I just like to find the ones that are so, messed up. And the more I read about cases, the more it scares me. Yeah, that one person could destroy someone's life. Like, I just covered the Adnan Syed case, and that's so crazy too. Like, he just got released from prison, and let me tell you, if you've ever followed this case, his friend Jay is so freaking suspect, and I don't know why the cops like just believed what this dude said and never even like looked into him like that. I mean, this, like, the guy is so sus. So basically, the dude Adnan, he was I think he's like Pakistani. Hold on. He's from Pakistan, but he's Muslim or whatever. And he was dating this girl, Hey Min Lee, who was like Korean, I believe. And they weren't really allowed to like date because their families are really strict immigrants. Like, his family just wants you to like marry somebody, and it's similar to her family. She's not allowed to have boys. She's supposed to be focused on studies and things like that. So they kind of had like a secret relationship. Then she dumps him for a guy at work, but he was like a player. He was talking to other girls. And one day she leaves school and she's never seen again. And she was found buried like 6 inches under the dirt at some park. But they immediately start looking at Adnan, because they thought he was like jealous or upset that, they weren't together anymore, and started, looking into him. Well, anyway, this guy, Jay, who was his friend, I mean, they weren't like great friends, but they did like hung out, but they weren't like best friends. Well, Jay's girlfriend was really close with Adnan, and there may have been some like jealousy there. Adnan said he's not really sure. But Jay, all right, so that morning, Jay told Adnan that he needed to borrow his car because he had to go buy his girlfriend a present. So Adnan gives him his car and gives him his cell phone, because Adnan wanted him to have a cell phone so that he could call him when he needed to be picked up, because the dude had his car. Well, Jay claims that Adnan, so he had his car, and that Adnan got a ride with Hay at the end of the day and strangled her. And then he called Jay and was like, hey, come meet me at Best Buy. Well, first his story, he said he was at some other place. And then he had a second story. He claimed it was Best Buy. He says he opened the trunk and he showed me Hay's body. Then he claims they like went and bought weed, and that he took him back for, I guess, track practice. And then later they went and used Jay's shovels, by the way. Thank you, Tia. Thanks for stopping by. So Jay openly admits they use his shovels to dig a hole, and then they go to a mall and dump the shovels in a dumpster. And then Jay calls this girl Jen to come pick him up, and he gets in the car and he's like, hey, Jen, Adnan killed Hay. And then he went and dumped his clothes. But it's just really strange to me, like, if this guy, like, why would this guy, who's not even that great of a friend to this dude, help him dig a hole with his own shovels and, like, be worried about getting rid of his clothes? Adnan claims he never did anything with Jay of that nature, and that he got picked up or something. They smoked, and then he dropped them back at school for track practice, and that was it. Then they went to this girl Kathy's later that night or whatever. Adnan claims he was never involved, but Jay claims that Adnan did it and he helped him. But there was really no physical evidence to connect Adnan to the case. If anything, Jay's story changes like 3 or 4 times. The girl Jen's a little suspect to me too. Their stories don't even match. And Adnan goes to jail. He's been in jail for 23 years. And here they do some DNA testing on some evidence. And he's cleared after 2 decades from DNA testing. Oh my gosh, sorry, he's being loud. Hold on, let me get the article where I can tell you. Oh, they're making me pay. Hold on. But anyway, they tested like a shoe, and none of his DNA was even on the shoe. You know what I mean? Can't really say that he didn't do it, but I just feel like the guy Jay's story is so shady. I don't know what his motive would be. Like, I get that Adnan's motive is a little more, like he has a little more of a motive, but everyone said like he's not that type of guy. He would never do that. The guy Jay was caught lying all the time, so I don't know. And they said he was really good at making stories. But you guys, you really should check out this case because it's super interesting. If you haven't listened to the Serial podcast, they do like a whole. I mean, that was like a big podcast in like 2016, maybe even before that. They won all these awards. They did a really great job, and that was kind of like a big start for big like solve the crime type podcasts. They did a really good job with it, and then HBO did a whole like several part documentary called The Case of Adnan Syed. So I don't know if they have anyone's DNA now. Like they haven't said if they have found any DNA that belongs to other people, but I think the guy Jay is so suspect. But I did a whole video about it. You could also watch that too if you want to be filled in. But I am gonna hop off because it's been like an hour and a half. But thank you all for coming. I'll probably go live sometime later this week now that I'm feeling better. I still got to do that, what's it called? Live. The Columbine Live. I really want to do that. I've just been putting it off because there's so much information. I'm going to have to break it down in sections or something. But I'm going to shoot for that this week. Either that or maybe if Leilani gets arrested, I'll do a whole Quentin Simon live. I've wanted to cover that, but I've just been like so busy. I've been following it, and I've been kind of like, on Parker's channel here and there, talking with her about it and stuff. But I haven't done a whole video on it. So maybe, if she gets arrested this week, I will do a video on that for sure. And you know what? I feel bad. People aren't here, and I didn't, recommend their channels, but check out Positively Parker. Check out the Cypher podcast. Broken Justice has a channel too, right? Check out Broken Justice. Amber has a channel. And Melissa Jade. Sorry, I missed Melissa Jade. Oh, and Melissa's doing Parker and Melissa Jade. They're both covering Quentin Simon. Doing a really good job at it. So, definitely check out their channels because I've been following that. I'll probably do a live on it, like I said, but yeah, make sure you check out all their channels. Sorry guys, I wasn't thinking earlier. I should have shouted you out earlier. There's like so much on my mind tonight, I wasn't even thinking about it. But yeah, check them all out. They're all in my chat. It should be easy to find. I can share their links real quick too. Hold on. I have it up, so why not? Oh, there's Parker's. Okay. Oh, I am hot. All right. There we go. There's Melissa Jade's link. And then, oh, never mind. We're all, okay. And Decipher. There we go. You know, I'm subscribed to Amber's channel, but I can't think of like what the name is. Hold on. You still in here, Amber? Thank you, mods. You're like mod ninjas. You move much faster than me. Sounds like said you guys have it covered. Yeah, that's the kind of mod. Oh yeah, and Jen. Jen probably went to bed. I haven't seen her in chat, and that's why I didn't say it. Sorry, Jen. She was in here earlier. Did I miss anybody? I hope not. Oh, Criminality was in here too. Let me get her. Let me get her a link. Criminality's been covering Quentin too. She's been doing good on that. I got it. Guys, don't worry. I can get it. Hold on. Oh, never mind. I'm thinking of the other Amber. I'm sorry, Amber. There's another Amber who does Texas Choice Girlfriend. I'm getting y'all confused. Sorry. There you go. There's Criminality's link. Sorry, Amber. Okay. I think I got everybody. Okay. Thanks, Lynn. She got Jen earlier. Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention. I was just like, I'm out of my A game tonight. I'm still reeling from my sickness. I'm not in my regular my live mode. All right, guys. Thank you all for coming. No, you both have close names on YouTube, so I got you guys confused. Like Amber, you both have like Amber and like a middle name. Thanks, Linda H. Hey, Sabrina. I'm about to end it now, Sabrina. You're late, but you could catch the replay. But yeah. It's a really interesting case, Sabrina, so you should definitely check out the replay. Good night, everyone. Thank y'all. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate the support. Good night, everyone. And yes, I'm going to go get some rest, but I'll be back this week. I'm probably going to do the Combine live. I'm going to shoot for that. Or either Combine or Quinn. Depends on if she gets arrested or not, because I figure I'll just wait for that to happen, because it's dish duty. I hate doing dishes, so I feel for you. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Bye.